just to simplify it, I'd show you how the brain comes together and organizes itself. So we're born basically with 80 billion brain cells, and the job of the brain is to help connect them all up. So the first part of the brain that's really online is what we call the brain stem, and that is the survival part of the brain. Okay, so if you think about survival, it's helping to pump blood through our veins and arteries, helping our lungs to breathe, so our heart to pump. We don't need to think about these things, it's automatic. But what's also housed in here is our survival response. So if we're under any trauma or stress to a high degree, what happens is this part comes into play, because remember, the brain is about survival. So we behave in one of three different ways: fight, flight, or freeze response. So that's where the 3 F's are housed. Okay, so that's the brain stem. Now, if we move up in here, this is what we call the limbic part of the brain, and it's the feeling part of the brain. That's where our emotional centers are housed, and also our memory centers. And that's why we get a real charge when we're remembering something. So it might be a piece of music, it might be a memory of somebody that was important to us, and we have this emotional reaction, and we think, like, where has that come from? Well, actually, it's come from here, the feeling part of the brain. This part here, this wriggly part here, is what we call the cortex. And the cortex is what we call the thinking part of the brain. Okay, it helps us to plan things and to, and to be more astute in what it is we're doing. But also this thinking part of the brain, and especially here in what we call the prefrontal cortex, this is the part of the brain, that's right, Vic. This is the part of the brain that can override and put a braking system on our feelings so that we can behave more appropriately. Okay, so we don't get a big charge. So if someone is misbehaving, if a child is misbehaving, if we're over the age of 28, we don't have to behave like a toddler, because we have a fully myelinated prefrontal cortex. That means we can be calm and be more compassionate and empathetic towards the toddler. Now, there's one thing I want to say about the adolescent brain. The most activated part, because their brain is going through some changes, so the most activated part is their feelings, the emotional centers in the brain. And so what's happening is the brain is trying to grow and prepare them for adulthood, and to grow some of these connections here to what we call myelinate them, so that this executive function overrides the limbic part of the brain. And so that is why adolescents have more of an emotional charge. But remember, we as adults don't need to, because we have a fully myelinated prefrontal cortex.